Welcome to Black Angus Reviews. Today we got a really weird scenario, really weird, interesting thing to talk about that I think will fly under the radar, but it's very indicative of the state of entertainment. That being how you have to conduct yourself to stay afloat, to not drown in this, mob that stabs each other constantly in the back, as we've seen with the James Franco scenario. And Seth Rogen. So before we get into it, I want to talk about what is preemptive. A great example, I think it's kind of timely as a talking point, is historical relevance given what's going on right now. There's the 6 Days War, I think in late 60s with Israel. They were surrounded by Egypt, I want to say Syria and Iran, if I'm not mistaken. I think there's at least 3 countries, if not more. There was this big plan to attack Israel, to coordinate together. And so Israel preemptively attacked all these countries and wiped out most of their air force and military advancements before they even really could affect Israel in their own borders. And, it's a great example of, an ethical dilemma to question everything. But that's what a preemptive move is. It's like, let me do this before it's a problem for myself. And now we got Fisher Stevens, I guess, notable fame of Short Circuit, which I know my mom owns it. I don't recall ever watching it. But it's about a little robot in the military that gets struck by lightning, becomes essentially sentient on its own. Looks pretty dorky, but whatever. So this guy, Fisher Stevens, was cast as an Indian in the role, and then they recast the white guy to play the same Indian character. So, of course, they're freaking out about this. But let me read you the article. All right, so it's titled, Fisher Stevens, a very white guy, now regrets playing an Indian character in Short Circuit. I didn't even read that title when I started digging into this. Fisher Stevens' character in Short Circuit wasn't always supposed to be an Indian man. Ben was actually supposed to be a white grad student, but director John Badham decided that it'd be better to have the character be Indian. But in a move that makes absolutely no sense, instead of recasting the role to be played by an Indian actor, Badham kept Stevens in the role, and he donned brownface. Oh no! Production went above and beyond to make Stevens look Indian, to the point where he looks and sounds unrecognizable, and actually passes as an Asian. Yeah, it's something called acting. In fact, this is hilarious. In fact, Aziz Ansari wrote in a New York Times piece from 2015 that before learning the actor is white, he considered Stevens to be one of the few representations of Indian men in film growing up. He noted his surprise when he found out that the character he looked up to was actually a white guy who had to sit every morning in a makeup chair and get painted in Indian color before going on set and doing his Indian voice. Again, it's acting. Like, what do you... This is annoying. And Sorry interviewed Stevens, who ultimately admitted that, yes, an Indian man obviously should have been cast in the role. It's been nearly 6 years since that interview with Ansari, and in a new interview with Yahoo, Fisher says he regrets the role. It definitely haunts me. I still think it's a really good movie, but I would never do that part again, he admitted. He also added the world was a different place in 1986, obviously. And this is where it gets good. This is where you see the two-faced lies of these, actors. And the fact that people put stock in these people to have a spine, like they literally, their whole career is being fake. That's their role. It's a talent. But you can't really trust people like that when, like, your bread and butter, what you devote your life to, your career is being fake people or characters. It has to do something to your mind long term. That's how I feel about this. But he says in a 2009 interview how much he enjoyed the role and prepping for it. Back then I loved it. I went to India and I studied Hindi. I got into yoga. And this is in 1985. I lived with Indian people. I really immersed myself. I used to be a total method actor, so I was really deep in the deep end. And I had a great time. And the malapropisms, they worked. I thought they were great, so I really loved it, said Stevens. He also mentioned that after making Ben Indian, Stevens was fired and Bronson Pinchot, I don't know that name, another white guy replaced him, but eventually he was fired and Stevens was rehired. So the director always intended for the role of an Indian man to be played by someone who's definitely not Indian. Yikes! That's the end of the article. Pretty funny, something simple, but I think a real case study for this epidemic we're suffering since at least Trump, if not before, his nomination. We've seen in Hollywood since Ghostbusters and Last Jedi and everything. That's, getting to the point now where it's like you gotta like be a detective in your own career to be like, where did I make some microaggression so I can jump ahead of it and apologize and self-flagellate like the weirdos in the Middle Ages. It's funny too because it shows you how crazy and sick this idea is that you can't cross these lines, especially in the realm of acting, where you're like showing your talent by tricking people. If you're doing mimicry, this guy actually invested in multicultural study on his own to play this role, to sound as like me, to pull it off. And mimicry is a form of flattery. The fact that he could pull it off and trick an actual Indian guy to thinking he was Indian in that movie, I think that takes a lot of respect. It's not like a mockery, it's not like Quickie Mart or something, which has its own use with comedy. So I don't know. This is just wacky. But yeah, look forward to some videos later today and tomorrow. Of course, the live stream tomorrow. And I might be on tonight with the Rookie Critic to finally do the Spider-Man 2 watch party. So get ready for that. Thank you for joining. Appreciate the support. Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. See you guys around.